and we'll see who is going to be able to take the advantage in this series. Cloud9 banning away the Vox. That is not something they want to give over to Tribe, but apparently also not something they want to first pick.
Yeah, and that's very surprising to see because so many times in the past we have seen them first pick the Vox, but not willing to go for it. Instead, they want to take the Rona away from DNZO.
I was going to say Sky Weapon Power was going to definitely be the pick for Tribe. They banned it multiple times when they went for the Rona, so in their mind, this is the perfect counter for the Rona pick. It's going to be played in lane on the NZO as a weapon power hero, and they're just going to try to kite around the Rona, stay away from her, and dance around her.
Absolutely. Just Cloud9 right here saying, anything you can do, we can do better. We'll see if it's going to work out for them, if they're going to be able to layer on the early pressure. But we saw Sky banned out earlier on in this series. That was the first ban for Tribe when they were on the A side, I believe. So we'll see how that's going to change things coming on in. The Black Feather will be banned as well, though.
The Lyra is still open here, and if C9 don't ban her, I'm pretty sure Tribe will come through and pick her up.
Yeah, I think Arden is also huge because Arden, the double gauntlets with the Echo, is going to keep Sky alive and basically give her those barriers so that a melee hero such as Rona, potentially a Taka or a Koshka, can't really get onto her. So this is a huge priority, I think, for Cloud9 to ban, or maybe they're going to say go with the Lyra, and then Tribe probably will take the Arden here.
Yeah, I think Arden would be the best ban here. If you give it over to the Rona, you're going to be going up against the composition you played in the first game, which you won with, the Rona, the Arden, and then they can get a CP jungler with it, like the Reza, like the Alpha potentially. So Arden, very likely the pick here for Tribe, unless they want to pick up the Koshka and play very aggressive. No, it's going to be the Arden.
Yeah, they want to save that last pick for a potential counter pick, and again, take the Arden away from Cloud9, because Gabe Vizzle, his gauntlet placements were incredible in Game 2.
All right, well, now we have to ask the question, is the Grace going to come out again?
Yes.
Could this be something like a Lorelei, though? We have seen that in recent games.
Could be Lorelei with Koshka, Grace with Koshka, or even Fortress with Koshka. Because Fortress with the Wolves does give Sky a really hard time. And also even Petal honestly gives Sky a hard time because her pets can get in the way and stop the forward barrage damage from hitting onto Rona and the team.
And the Lorelei is a pick that we've seen banned by Tribe in the first two games, but it is going to be a Fortress coming through. Now the question is just going to be, will it be a Crystal Fortress or a Captain Fortress? This last pick is going to determine that.
It's going to be Captain Fortress and probably, I would say, Petal or Koshka here. That's going to be a really aggressive composition that Tribe needs to pick because they can't give Cloud9 can't give Tribe a stronger early game composition.
We'll have to see where they do go with this one. They're starting to run low on time. And this is one of the things about the drafts for this series so far. Both teams have been burning through that bonus time. They know how much is resting on their shoulders. Both teams wanting to represent North America in the grand finals.
One thing I want to talk about is Old School, as you see him on your screen right here. He got focused again in the early game by Tribe, gave up first blood and then gave multiple kills afterwards, but props to him, he came back huge later on. He definitely maintained his focus, came back mentally, and carried his team through.
Yeah, that was a good pick by Cloud9 because if they did not take the Koshka, Tribe would take the Koshka and run a Weapons Guy, and that would be a very strong early game into the Rona composition.
It's also the bravado of Cloud9 to take the Rona Koshka when they had just beaten a Rona Koshka, saying to Tribe, you ran this, we're going to do it better.
Absolutely, and now Tribe, they have to decide, what can we do against this early game aggression? What can we do to shut this down? They've already got the Sky. Do they go full ranged composition here, or do they go something that can fight toe-to-toe?
Well, they don't have the CP Black Feather to go for. If they're gonna pick anything, or if they're ever gonna pick a Rhyme, this would be the scenario to pick it. You've mentioned it multiple times to Engineers in the past. They need something that can hold the early game aggression versus the Koshka, so perhaps even a Cruel is a possibility.
Yeah, I think the best option is probably Petal. Cruel, Rhyme would be okay, but Fortress, the Mortal Wound's going to counter that so hard, and it's going to weaken their fortified health and their sustain, and that's why Fortress is good, because you cannot play a Baptiste, you cannot play a Rhyme, you cannot play a Cruel, because Koshka Fortress is way too strong.
Apparently
and they're going to go with a Baptiste, and this is a little risky, I think, from the side of Tribe here.
So much of this is just about trying to prevent the hard dive. That
movement speed, and obviously Ordain locks that down.
Oh, here we go, jumping onto the fold for the third time. Cloud9 this time taking away the Koshka from T-Tigers. Two of the best Koshka players in the world. Joseph now piling it in. We'll see how they want to play the early game. Cloud9 moving towards the Elder Treant, or in fact, they're actually sticking back.
Yeah, happy to take a fight, I'd say, at level 2 here. So they're happy to go for their back camps and meet in the middle this time round. And first time we might see two teams for a while actually match up in the middle of this map, right at the very early phases of this game. I'm actually looking at Tribe, and I see Dienzio picking Weapon Power Sky, and I'm thinking that's a really good thing for Tribe in this composition. They've got great kite away, he's got great movement speed, he's really good at dodging his way around these sort of heavy dive compositions, and Dienzio plays a mean Weapon Power Sky. Tribe, I think, are in a good position here.
From the backs to the fronts, they do meet each other in the Elder Treant. This is going to be the first time this has happened. However, Cloud9, if they do jump on one target, that target will fall rather quickly, especially with Joseph's early damage on the Koshka.
They're just trying to wait around here. No one's really got that advantage in lane. Looks like C9 are very desperate to get hold of this early Elder Treant. It is a risky fight to take for either team, to be honest.
T-Tigers is building up with those bad mojos as well. They've got to be very careful. Got to watch out for that counter. It does look like Tribe maybe looking for back off. I mean, the 2 to 3 minute stall, are we going to see it? Are the minions just going to kill each other at this point?
Joseph's going to back off. He's going to go for his backs. They've already spawned, and looks like T-Tigers is doing exactly the same thing. Both of them knew that their back camps, taking that on rotation is important. It looks like that Mexican standoff is just going to stand as it was. And it looks like they're going to head towards the lane.
No shots fired, but up into the lane now. Old School and Dienzio will meet each other. Now the Sky, this is the first time we're seeing this in the best of 5. Minion candy used by Old School fairly early on. It's kind of what we're seeing a lot of the time. Gave Visual going very low though early on also. Max Green's damage and just his sustainability on this Arden is not something to be messed with.
Yeah, Arden's got a super high basic weapon power damage, so he really hits hard in those early levels. The clear speed from Joseph is just that much quicker. That means he gets to that Elder Treant a bit earlier. He also skipped his double backs just to get there in time as well. So he's now going to head back to base, probably pick up that now on rotation. He's thought it pretty much worth to take that Elder Treant and skip his backs for the time being.
Makes a lot of sense to net more of that gold. We'll see if T-Tigers is going to do the same kind of game plan we've seen in the last couple of games, which is permanently camp Cloud9's fronts. However, this time around with T-Tigers on that Batiste, like you mentioned before, with the Ordain, perfect for countering Koshka's leap in.
Actually, we're seeing an actual laning phase here, George. This is the first game of the series where we've had a somewhat semblance of a laning phase. No rotations, no heavy rotations in the jungle. And I think, this respect between Joseph and T-Tigers. They're looking for an engage.
Into the fray, onto Dienzio. He's going to use that Suri Strike, though. Old School taking a lot of damage. Joseph's going to march on forward as well. Take Max Green to about a third HP. And that will just be that for the moment. But all the meanwhile, T-Tigers has been farming those fronts. But now Cloud9 are going to get the beneficial rotation down to Elder Treant.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to get on to
T-Tigers
T-Tigers.
moving in. Ordain's going to come through. It's going to land on Joseph this time around. He does stay around for it. Elder Treant taken. It's going to get taken by Old School. They're still trying to push forward here. T-Tigers actually have to pop that flask as well. Instant Fray's going to be up in a couple of seconds. Also, Max Green going extremely low. Cloud9 deciding to back off right now. Those bad mojos, the empowered ones, are starting to hurt. Ordain onto Old School. Wrong place, wrong time. Into the fray, not quite up. He misses right into the wall. Dienzio with the reposition picks up first blood.
Oh, Old School's going to be hitting himself after that. He jumped straight into the wall with that into the fray, and that spelt his death. First blood over to Tribe. C9 lose their fronts again. T-Tigers has found that resurgence he's needed to be more aggressive once more. He's going to take everything that he can from that C9 jungle. Maybe a little bit ambitious to take that kind of engage, especially when all of the healing flasks were up for C9, but they tried to put a bit of early aggression down. Shut down by Tribe, though.
Tribe's ability to just target focus is absolutely superb. You can imagine if Old School, even if he did make that, Dienzio could have repositioned with his Suri Strike and taken him down regardless. It was Cloud9 splitting up, or Tribe just wedging them so they couldn't actually move anywhere, splitting up in the 2-to-1. That really ended Old School's life. Shop has been opened now, so Cloud9 are going to make that first rotation down there, but T-Tigers has hit at that level 6 a lot quicker than Joseph has.
Looking the reflex block already there for Dienzio, so he needs to be able to negotiate his way around Yummy Catnip Frenzy. There's no way that he gets hit by that. It's the only thing that's going to limit his mobility in these fights realistically. Wondering whether Old School's going to have to pick up a Shiver Steel this game, because we thought Vox was mobile. Sky is very much the same, especially as you can see Dienzio maxing Suri Strike. That's pretty common for Weapon Power Skies. It gives them that extra added mobility, and mobility is the name of the game. That's why you pick Weapon Power Sky. She just is able to dive and dart away from those melee divers like the Rona, the Fortress, and the Koshka.
Duck, dip, dive, and dodge. The dodgeball reference is what you're trying to go for.
I almost went for it, but
Almost.
a bit tongue-tied after the last game. Eh?
Do not blame me, I think. I'm just the same. Joseph has hit that level 6 mark and has got the Aftershock now as well. This is the time they want to fight. Max Green on the Arden is going to be hitting level 6 rather soon also. He's got that fountain available, and now Tribe just need to play around that fact. And with the amount of CC, like Araki was actually talking about, and the disengage potential from T-Tigers using that Fearsome Shade, is...
Two more evenly matched teams here in a semi-final of the World Championships.
An unpause, Cloud9 and Tribe, they're in it. Here we go, we're back into gaming, Scoundrel. Enough waiting around. Now Tribe are just pushing in with that minion candy as well. Dane comes out, it's gonna be straight on top of Old School. He is taken under half HP. Joseph leaping in, but there's not much they can do right now. The range advantage is in Tribe's favor. This is something we talked about in these compositions last game. Cloud9 needs to be careful. Those
huge bad mojos. No shielding yet for C9. They're probably going to end up giving up this turret for free. The siege from Tribe is just too good, and that was a massive minion wave pushed in for Tribe as well. Dienzio going to get the finishing blow, and suddenly again, early advantages go over to Tribe. I don't think that's good for C9. Tribe have got that composition in the late game. I feel like it's going to be just too difficult to stick to Dienzio. C9 need to look to take advantages in the next 4 minutes, or I'm really putting myself heavily in that Tribe camp. They've got such a good late-game composition to deal with what C9 are bringing to the table.
The T-Tigers picking up that Shatterglass. Big power spike for him. And you can imagine a Clockwork or an Echo being prioritized at some point also. A double Fearsome Shade is something to be scared about, and a double Gauntlet also from Max Green is something to kind of keep in mind if you're Cloud9.
That's a very impunity thing to do, having the Echo on the sort of jungle Batiste. I haven't seen many North American teams adopt that. I'd imagine T-Tigers works for a Clockwork next. Maybe if they feel in the late game they need the extra peel, they will potentially consider it. But I just don't think they need it at this point. Like, one Fearsome Shade is probably enough. You have to have one Crucible, but that's got to get you through Fearsome Shade and potentially a double Gauntlet wall. Why not just have the extra damage and make it that much easier for Dienzio to clean up?
Makes a lot of sense. They're going to rotate down towards the item shop now, and T-Tigers is going to do T-Tiger things and just take away those front camps. But Cloud9 this time around, they want to be able to contest. They're sick and tired of not having that gold in their inventory. Old School is going to move forwards though, but a lot of scout traps will spot them out before they can realistically do anything and Tribe back off. Max Green just heading level 6 off that last couple of camps as well. Very important power spike for him. Okay, Vizzle at the level 6 mark also, but in all honesty, obviously, the Wolves aren't going to be too much use. Mortal Wound not being the biggest factor, especially when T-Tigers is not in that reap state.
Crucible's there for Gabe Vizzle. They might search for some sort of advantage right now, just simply because there are too many big power spikes being hit by Tribe, and C9 just haven't taken any other advantages just yet. You have the breaking point for Dienzio. That's going to allow him to ramp up in these fights. You've got the level 6 for Dienzio, the Death from Above, so good at peeling away from the heavy dive composition, so good at shutting down things like Koshka and Rona once they dive onto you. Right now, T-Tigers is, like you said, got that Shatterglass, and Max Green has picked up his own Crucible just to deal with whatever might be thrown at them. The only thing that you really have to Crucible from C9 is that Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Everybody's got their own individual reflex blocks, but just in case, Max Green's got his Crucible as well.
This is what I like from Cloud9 now. They're retaking at this part of the jungle from them that they've not had in the previous 2 games. Maybe that's their hinge to coming back into the series. I say come back into the series, it's one apiece, but coming back in the early deficit that they have been placed in. Only 1,000 gold separates, or just under now, separates Tribe and Cloud9. The smallest gold difference in 9 minutes that we've had in this entire series.
I've got to say, I'm impressed with the way that Tribe have responded to that previous game. If I were in their position, I'd be feeling really downtrodden that we had you had a 10k gold lead at some point, and C9 managed to bring it back, but Tribe have responded so well. Came back fighting, didn't let off on their early aggression, have looked to play around their win conditions once more, and C9 push onto this gold mine. A heavily bolstered Tribe are going to look to contest it.
They are indeed. Max Green might want to pull that trigger on the Gauntlet. They're going to go in. Nice ordained actually on to Joseph. Death from Above come down as well. Gabe Fizzle doesn't get struck by it, but he's going incredibly low. Dienzio, so he strikes backwards and is going to be able to block the Yummy Catnip Frenzy as well. They're still cutting back. Dienzio stacking up 11 breaking point stacks. Crystal Sentry's going to help them as well. But they do manage to cut him up. They managed to take the kill. Old School with 20 breaking point stacks ends up going down as well to a bad mojo. Max Green falling. A twirly death will kill him off. A 2-for-2 trade. Joseph and T-Tigers, both junglers, are just going to part ways, or at least T-Tigers trying to catch him up, but the cat is too quick.
Such a close fight. Obviously, Cloud9 playing into the territory of the enemy Crystal Sentry didn't help, but that was a lot of resources expended to kill Dienzio, and T-Tigers was just not touched. Let's take a look at that again. You can see here, it's Cloud9 trying to bait Tribe into a fight by starting up that gold miner. They initially put that pressure down onto T-Tigers. The block, or the ordained onto Joseph, stops that initial engage, and they have to sort of recoup and go back. They then push everything onto Dienzio. So watch all of them dive onto Dienzio here, all of the pressure going onto him. He dies, but T-Tigers is untouched. T-Tigers full HP, full energy, and if this was a longer fight and he had that ordained up, he would have been able to clean up the whole thing, and that would have been Tribe's fight to take. And the longer this game goes, the less amount of damage Koshka is going to do to Dienzio. If Dienzio finishes up that Aegis, you're not going to see that level of damage coming out. So these kind of fights where it's Joseph able to take Dienzio out are going to be few and far between as this game goes on.
It was all down to Old School yet again, building up those breaking point stacks a lot quicker than Dienzio was able to. They kited back perfectly. Dienzio's positioning was extremely precise. But Old School was just able to jump in there with a red mist, and the damage from the Serpent's Mask as well was just too much. Goldminer gets started up again, tried moving forward once more. Didn't use the gauntlet in the last fight, so that is still available to them if they so choose to use it. Ordain comes out, nice bad mojo actually. There's the fearsome shade, but it's going to get blocked. Apart from the gold one who just runs away in fear. Nice stun into the death from above as well. The walls have been popped, but Joseph ends up going down. Gets cut up by Max Green. Dienzio repositioning with that Sorry Strike is just going to chase Old School. He has to be very careful. Crystal Sentry wants a word in, but Dienzio Sorry Strikes forward, but Old School getting the lifesteal off of the minions, but ends up going down regardless. They lose that Crystal Sentry, but they take 2 lives in the process.
Yeah, C9 basically cut their losses in the middle of that fight and said, let's just get the gold miner. Let's just take the gold miner. It's a huge amount of gold for the team, but they might end up losing a turret for it, which means Tribe are going to take yet another advantage. Joseph doing his best to defend here. Here comes Gabe Bizzle.
Max Green popping that flask. There's Yummy Cannon Frenzy straight on top of T-Tigers. Death from above comes down, separating the rest of the team. Joseph hasn't got many tools to work with now, but they've managed to clear out the wave and stop the turret push.
There we go, C9 recuperate from that team fight that went so badly wrong. Again, it's one of those scenarios where you have all of these heavy diving heroes and there are just so many obstacles to overcome. It's like an assault course that Tribe put down. First, you have to get through a wall that stuns you. Then you have to get through missiles from the sky that stun you. Then you have to chase up to a heavily mobile sky with a Vanguard, not to mention an army of zombies that fear you and an Ordained that keeps you in a specific location. There are just too many things from Tribe that help keep Dienzio especially safe for, I think, C9 to negotiate through with just 1 Crucible and 2 Reflex blocks. It just feels like it's almost an impossible task. They have to find that initial jump on Dienzio and blow him up straight away. Old School hasn't gone for a Shiver Steel. He's actually working for a 3rd item, which is probably going to be a Sorrow Blade. So he's looking for that burst damage.
Well, it's going to be even harder now as Max Green has picked up that Echo. So not only is it 1 Gauntlet, it's 2, mixed with Fearsome Shade. It's very hard. And like you mentioned just a second ago, it gets harder and harder for Joseph to actually do any meaningful damage. Same with Old School. They have to clear so much ground and have to dodge out so much CC. They are going to go in, however, Ordained onto Joseph. That's going to be pretty big. There comes the first Gauntlet. Second one activated as well, but it doesn't quite get blocked. In fact, Fearsome Shade does disengage Cloud9 for the time being, but Tribe, they're going to be able to follow this one up. Old School is very low. It's going to have to back here. They might just forfeit the turret.
They're going to have to. The disengage was just too good. Max Green didn't have to use Fountain or Crucible. Gabe Bizzle didn't use his either, but they realized there was no way they were going to get through that second Gauntlet. They actually used the Crucible to get through the first Gauntlet. And then that's why the Fearsome Shade was so good at disengaging. This is just a heavy, heavy kite and disengage comp from Tribe. And it's working wonders now. These big item spikes that you talked about, the Echo, the Aegis finished up, it just feels like it's now a very, very steep hill for C9 to have to climb to actually take Tribe on in one of these late game team fights. This is why I said that there wasn't enough early advantages gained by C9 to punish Tribe, and Tribe have a perfect composition once again. I think Tribe have done so well in draft across all of these games in the series so far.
That'll be all due to their support staff as well, their support network. Cloud9 have the same thing, and that's why these teams can compete at such a high level right now. Crystal Sentry is going to fall, so Cloud9 taking the priority on that one. I do believe that's the first one they've actually taken throughout the entire series, and it actually lands them in a position where they might be able to fight. If they do take out this Crystal Sentry, they're going to be able to fight in these small corridors. However, that's where Max Green and T-Tigers also want to rumble.
So they get that Crystal Sentry, a little bit of gold in the bank before they have to start to think about Kraken. This is going to be where Tribe try and draw C9 out. Again, this is one of those scenarios that they've been trying to exploit throughout this entire game. And Tribe really do like to push that that Kraken very, very quickly. They like to take it as soon as it's up most of the time. This time around, they're not in such a commanding position. They're definitely in the lead, but they're not exactly dominating C9 like they have been in the last 2 games. Still in the stronger position, though, I believe.
But the situation, they're in the exact same situation apart from that massive gold advantage they were in game number 2 and even game number 1. Cloud9 haven't actually been able to breach a turret, while Tribe have 2 turrets down. And they also have, they've taken 2 turrets, and they have that just choke point turret to take out next. They're in exactly the same situation, and if they can win the next fight, that Kraken will be theirs as 15 minutes has just rolled over. Joseph's
infusion is nearly out. He has to get 100 more gold in the bank and he can refresh that. It's definitely going to need to be refreshed before this next fight. Old School should be okay. T-Tigers can work up towards his own. He's actually got it in his inventory, and Dienzio has his own. So again, infusions, again, at this point in the game, so important to keep refreshing those infusions. They are worth so many stats for the gold value that they are. They're a limited time period, of course, but it's almost a necessity when you get to this stage in the game to have an infusion consistently refreshed, which makes it very hard to complete items because you're consistently spending 500 gold on infusions. They're going for a Crystal Sentry once more. That was a very aggressive and risky move by C9. They're going to get flared out. Can they get back?
They did take that off spawn. T-Tigers looking to go for a flank. Dienzio doing the same thing. They know exactly where Cloud9 is right now. The minions in their favor also. They're going to go straight onto Dienzio. Suri strike backwards. There's the nice Yummy Cannon Frenzy, but it doesn't actually end up landing. Dienzio did block it. Double Gauntlet used already. And a fearsome shade also to ripple them backwards. Dienzio just freely stacking on the back line. 9 breaking point stacks right now, but Max Green is falling very low.
That's
There's
a
the
really good
Ordained.
engage.
Oh, T-Tigers manages to just get a little bit of damage down. K-Vizzle is going to fall. Joseph going down as well. Dienzio kiting around. Will he be able to get a third? He does! Another fearsome shade comes off cooldown and sends Old School to the grave. Dienzio finds the 2.
We might have said that Old School, the best laner in North America. I'm sure Dienzio has got words to say about that. You see how difficult it is, even when C9 take that engage, to get through to Dienzio. K-Vizzle jumps in. Look at the kite away from Dienzio immediately. He blocks the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy, gets up to turret safety, suddenly is no longer a target. C9 change their focus, start using that melee combat with the Baptiste and the Arden to play into Rona's favor. But right now, it's just so difficult to get on top of Dienzio and stay on top of Dienzio. And he's building those breaking point stacks throughout the entire fight. Look at this. Even when Old School finds that opportunity, even when he blocks things out, Dienzio's still able to kite back with that movement speed that he gets in the lock-on, and those Suri strikes to help him reposition. It is just why Sky is good into these types of compositions, just like Vox, but Sky does it a little bit better. And Dienzio loves playing Weapon Power Sky as well. He said it's one of the picks that he was looking forward to playing throughout this tournament, and it has been such an overrepresented pick here, especially by the North American teams. They love that Weapon Power Sky, and you can see why. So difficult to lock down.
Tribe have unleashed the Kraken as well. Not quite escorting it. C9 are going to be able to get a bit of free damage down onto it. They are just moving up the lane now as well to escort it. Remember that base has been broken already. They're going to go for an engagement. Nice twirly death. A nice Ordained actually to lock the fortress in place. Gavers will actually get stunned. Dienzio kiting back straight on top of Old School. Gauntlet gets laid up. Yummy Cannon Frenzy is going to get blocked as well. Dienzio still kiting back. 12, 13, 14, 15 breaking point stacks. Old School's going to fall. And already Max Green just trying to disengage him. Those Vanguards are good. No one can touch Dienzio at all. And Ordained locks Joseph in place, and there's another kill, another ace, back-to-back by Tribe.
Dienzio, the Sky Monster, held his Suri strike until the Into the Fray came down, then Rona had nothing to follow up, couldn't get that foe splitter in. They're going for the win.
Tribe, they've got the Kraken on their side as well. First Crystal Turret falls, the second one to follow, and there shatters the Vayne Crystal. Tribe are going to take match points against Cloud9.
And again, it was a draft from Tribe that really shut down C9. The Baptiste was that perfect pick, stopped any early aggression that Koshka could have. Good disengaged against a heavy dive composition that C9 had planned. They needed to execute a bit earlier, they needed to be aggressive a bit earlier, but Tribe just wouldn't let them. And again, when